Shabbat Shalom, everyone. This Shabbos is a very special Shabbos. Shabbos, Parshat Tetzaveh, and you shall command. And it talks about the priestly blessing, the priestly garments, and it talks about the parts of the Mizbeach and the tabernacle. But what is more interesting about this week's Torah portion is what is missing from this week's Torah portion, and that is the name of Moshe, the name of Moses himself. It's the only Torah portion from when Moshe is born in the beginning of the book of Exodus, from Shemos all the way to the end of Devarim, all the way to the end of Deuteronomy. Moshe's name is mentioned in every single Torah portion. There is only one time that he's missing, and that is in this week's Torah portion. And the rabbis explain, and the one reason is because many times it falls out at the week of his passing, but the main reason is because in next week's Torah portion, Parshas Ki Tisa, we have the famous story of the terrible act of the Jewish people, the worst act after the giving of the Torah, of the sin of the golden calf. And so God says to Moses, look at your people, what they're doing down there. I'm going to destroy them and make a great nation out of you. When Moshe Rabbeinu hears this, as the faithful shepherd as he is, as the true leader he is, he tells God, erase me from your book if you're going to do that. Take my name out of your book, erase me. And because he says erase me from your book, and even though of course God accepts the tshuva of the Jewish people and the atonement and the threat of Moshe Rabbeinu, nevertheless the fact that a tzaddik says, a righteous individual, as Moses says, erase me from your book, there had to be a place that was missing. What's interesting about this whole episode, and why this is the Torah portion that was chosen, to have Moshe Rabbeinu's name missing, even though this episode happens next week, and even though this week is all talking about the service of the Aaron and the high priest, is that Moshe Rabbeinu taught us something very powerful. To be a true leader, you have to be ready to sacrifice your own self. Everything about Moshe is the Torah. He's the 5 books of Moses. Everything of what we know about Moshe is the Torah. And he's ready to erase himself from the book, take my name out of your Torah. For who? For the Jews who just sinned against God. For the Jews who just heard, I am God your Lord, and do not have any other gods aside from me, and make a molten image, make an actual cow, a Egel Azav, a golden calf, to serve instead of God. Moshe should get afraid and said, get rid of these Jews. But instead he says, every single Jew is a fire. Every single Jew is a soul. And we can't have the Torah if we're missing one Jew. Moshe also didn't want to be anywhere in God's Torah, in a God that cannot accept atonement on his people, even if they did the worst sin. And so therefore Moses says, erase me from your book, ready to sacrifice everything, his entire existence, his entire being, in order to save the Jewish people. So even though Moshe Rabbeinu's name is not actually mentioned in this week's Torah portion, nevertheless he's very much alluded to, and that is in the opening word of ve'ata, and you, ve'ata tetzaveh. You is actually the essence of Moshe Rabbeinu. It's even higher than a name. A name is needed for a secondary individual, someone to call you, but you yourself, that is the highest essence. And God calls out to ve'ata and you because he's preparing him for this great test that he's going to have in next week's Torah portion of becoming the true leader. And it happens in this week's Torah portion because this is really the Torah portion of talking about Aaron's garments, Aaron becoming the high priest. And for Moshe, he was the true leader. He was the main leader of the Jewish people. Nevertheless, he couldn't kindle the menorah. He couldn't bring a sacrifice to the golden altar. He couldn't go into the holies of holies. He gave that up for his brother. He gave it up for another individual. He gave up the holiest acts in the holies of holies, in the holiest space, where he can't. He's a Levi, he's not a priest, he's not a Kohen, in order that his brother can have that space. And this is the greatness of Moshe. This is the greatness of a leader. And it teaches something very powerful. To be a true leader, we have to be able to ready to sacrifice our own self, our own time, our own essence, our own study, our own learning, in order to save another Jew, in order to help another Jew, to be able to go out of our way in order to help another Jew. This is the message that we have to take on ourselves, especially as we're going now, we're 30 days. Today is Purim Katan, the small Purim. Mordechai is ready to he sacrifices himself as being and Esther in order to save an entire Jewish people. And so as we go into the Shabbos of Tetzaveh, the Shabbos of sacrifice, Shabbos in which we show our sacrifice for the Jewish people, whatever we need to do for our brother. And this is the time where we know that our brothers are in need more than ever. Our brothers around us, our brothers in Israel, wherever they, and of course our brothers and sisters, wherever they may be ready to sacrifice from ourselves. It's really how we truly bring out our essence, how we truly become a true leader. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. See you tonight, 6 p.m., tomorrow morning at 10:15. Very important. Sunday night, we're having an amazing concert together with honoring our reservists of our community, together with Akiva, international superstar Akiva. You can sign up for that concert, idfconcert.com. Shabbat Shalom.